Hey, this is Jordan Allen, London, Kentucky native and singer-songwriter, and you're listening to the Locally Branded Podcast, sponsored by Kemper Home Furnishings, where we explore the wins, losses, and everything in between of local people just like you.
Well, thank everyone for watching and listening to the Locally Branded Podcast. Like I always do, I'll let our guest introduce himself. But again, like we were saying, it's been a long time coming. We've talked about this for quite for several weeks, for a long time actually. So I'm glad to have you here. But I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm super excited to be here finally, like you alluded to. Hello, my name is Chase Lamar Carson, born and raised right here in London, Kentucky my whole life. I wear many hats in the community, but specifically you may know me as one of the 6 London City Tourism Commissioners on the London Tourism and Parks Commission, and I'm also one of the City of London candidates this election cycle.
Yeah, that's exciting too,
Yes.
man. You wear a lot of hats. You know, you wear a lot of hats, and we'll talk about that too, because I want to kind of get into everything we talk about. Of course, is leadership. We try to do leadership, people's journeys. We want to talk about things that some people may not know. It's funny because how you and I met, and it took me a little bit of courage to kind of come up to you. I seen you at the gym. I seen you at the gym, and I knew you're part of tourism. The board on tourism, and I had already done some work for tourism, and had previously done work prior to doing the magazine. Had done work for tourism. But I wanted to meet somebody from the inside and kind of network that. Absolutely. Right. And to me, it was again, I was nerve-wracked a little bit, but I was like, I had to take my chance and be like, hey, introduce myself at the gym. But since then, you and I, we talk all the time.
I was about to say, we hit it off. I mean, right
easily,
then and there. I mean, I like to think I'm super approachable, and it's funny you mentioned that because, I mean, I can recall it like it was yesterday. I was getting ready to leave the gym, and I caught you in the corner of my eye, and I remember you reaching out, and you're like, are you Chase Carson Tourism? And I was like, yes, sir, I am. And then from that point on, the rest is history.
Yeah, and I got to know a lot. Of course, we had you on the front cover of the London Neighbors magazine. Got to tell your story there, and I learned a lot from it. I learned a bunch from it. That had no idea the battle that you took with cancer. Mm-hmm. If you don't mind, talk about that for a second, because I mean, I know that we had readers that had read it. We have the story; it's also on our website as well for people to go back and read as well. But I like for our listeners to know that there is. Everyone goes through struggles, right? Everything goes through, but it's your willingness to move forward and your support that gets you through things, right? It's a big part of it. So, what type of cancer was it? Like, explain to me exactly.
Yeah. So,
if you don't mind.
I don't care one bit. Anybody who's curious about my story, I'm fully comfortable in talking about it because I tell everybody who asks me about it, it's what made me who I am today. And I'll just start from the beginning and tell the whole story that I'll tell everybody that I may have left out in the magazine. But the type of cancer I had was Burkitt's lymphoma. This was back in 2011. I just graduated from 5th grade at London Elementary, right down the street here, and was super excited to start middle school at South Laurel Middle. I remember that summer, for about a week, I started noticing I was really nauseous, wasn't really feeling myself, just felt sick all the time. I told my mom about it. My mom's a very strong woman. Mm-hmm. She's the type of mom that if Monday morning came around and I said I had a stomach ache, she was sending me to school anyways, regardless. And so my mom was just kind of brushing it off, thinking it was just a stomach bug or whatever. And we noticed that I wasn't getting any better as the days went along. So she ended up taking me to the doctor here locally. They felt on me, ran some tests, and just said I had the stomach bug and sent me on my way. Well, I think that was probably on like a Thursday. And by that Friday, I was going to spend the weekend with my father because around this time my father was still with us, and my parents got divorced at an early age, and so they had split custody of me. And so I remember my mom telling me, if you feel sick while you're at your dad's, just give me a call. I'll bring you applesauce or whatever you need to help you feel better. And literally that Saturday morning, I woke up, was just feeling like death. Mm-hmm. And I immediately called my mom up, asking her if she would bring me some applesauce because I thought that would help me feel better. And when she pulled up to my dad's house, I walked outside to meet her, and I didn't have my shirt on. And my mom said that's when she knew something was wrong, is when she saw me, because when I walked outside, she said my whole skin color was just yellowish. I was jaundiced. She said my stomach looked completely swollen. She didn't because I've always been kind of slim my whole life, and so when I walked out, just stomach bulging out, she was like, "How in the world did you gain 30 pounds since the last time I seen you?" Right?
Yeah.
So after she saw me, we immediately went to St. Joseph Hospital here in London, and the only thing I can remember when getting to the St. Joseph was they had me pee in a cup as soon as I got there, to kind of run some tests, see what was going on. And can recall as soon as I got done peeing in that cup and looked at it, it was completely black. It looked like Coca-Cola.
Wow.
And so I brought it back to the room, and I was anxious to see what the doctors were going to say, because immediately I knew something was up,
Oh,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And as soon as I walked back in the room, show everybody, the doctor's face just drops, and they're like, "Okay, something serious is definitely going on." And keep in mind, I'm only an 11-year-old kid
Oh,
around
yeah.
this time, and they didn't really feel comfortable working on a kid yet, because there's a difference between kids and adults, obviously, in the medical field. And so they wanted to send us up to a UK hospital. So that's what we did. I rode in an ambulance all the way up to Lexington. Don't remember the trip at all. By the time I got to Lexington, I was so sick that I can hardly remember anything. I can just remember getting there, laying in the bed, and them running CAT scans on me and things like that. And that's really the only thing I remember when I got to Lexington, was them running the scans, and then them admitting me to a room in the hospital there. But I didn't know what was going on, didn't know what kind of illness or sickness I had. I just assumed I was sick and I needed
Yeah.
to be in the hospital, and that's all it was.
Pretty bad case of the stomach bug, right? Like
Absolutely, yeah. I just maybe
When you were 11,
dehydrated.
that's what you were thinking, right?
Right, right. 11-year-old doesn't know anything
No.
about cancer really, or anything like that. So as time went on, I stayed in the hospital for 6 months in Lexington. Did chemotherapy, had numerous surgeries, you name it. And I didn't actually realize that I was battling cancer until a few months in, when the doctor started asking me questions about how I was feeling, what kind of symptoms I was having, and listening to their conversations with my mom is when I realized, hey, like, I have cancer. I'm actually really sick. And so went all through that for 6 months, got admitted in August, stayed until December before they finally let me go back home. But that wasn't the end of it, unfortunately. But backtracking a little bit, while I was in the hospital, UK, I was in bed for probably 3 months straight, just laying in bed, just bed rotting away. And so they ended up asking my mom if they would like get me up out of bed, push me down the halls in a wheelchair, whatever, just to get me up and moving, because my lungs were starting to, not completely fail, but they were afraid that my lungs would collapse just laying in bed all the time. And so I can remember one day my mom was pushing me down the halls, and we actually ran into the doctor that saw me the night I came up, and he was super, nice to us. He was happy to see that I still wasn't doing well, but I was doing a whole lot better than when he saw me when I first got there. And he told my mom that it was a blessing that I came in when I did, because the type of cancer I had, Burkitt's lymphoma, it grows very fast and aggressive. And my tumors, I had them from my neck down to my waist, and all of my tumors were surrounding all of my internal organs.
Wow.
So, like, anytime I would eat or drink, before I went to the doctor, I would just immediately throw it back up. And that's because the tumors were completely squeezing my stomach shut to where it just couldn't fit anything.
Yeah.
The same could be said about my heart. I have to take annual visits to Lexington still to meet with the doctors up there, because I had tumors around my heart that they want to keep an eye on to make sure it doesn't cause any issues. And then I also have a dormant tumor in my throat still, and I have a scar. Some people, I get so cracked up, they will look at it and they'd be like, "Do you have a hickey on your neck?" And I'm just like, "No, I promise."
Let me explain. Let me explain.
You're
Yeah,
right. It's actually a little bit worse. It's a tumor I have in
Yeah.
there. So I get real cracked up about that. But the doctor told us that at the rate my cancer was growing, if I didn't come in right then and there when we did, the cancer probably would have killed me the next day.
Yeah.
Just because the tumors were growing so rapidly and it was surrounding all of my internal organs, that it could have just got to the point where they just crushed all of my organs.
What a great group of UK is, right? Like
Absolutely.
I've been there several times. You know, I've got the blood clot disorder that I've had. I was there twice with it. Not only that, but I earned a really good nickname when I worked for Tensher Williams down here for years ago, Spider, because I was bitten by a brown recluse on my forehead.
Oh,
Right?
really?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I was in UK for about 2 weeks,
Wow.
and I was blind for a good week of that.
Jeez.
And the only thing I can remember from it was the students coming in to take pictures of how things were because they were learning. They were there, doing their, I guess, internship or whatever the case. But the crew at UK was fantastic. I could remember the chef even coming up on my last day. It's like, "Man, you've been here for a while. You've been through quite a bit." He goes, "Name any meal you want, and I'll cook it for you."
There you go.
So UK is, to me, is, I don't know.
They're great.
They are.
Yeah, they're great. And, like I said, I still have to go up each year to get daily checkups just to make sure everything's okay. And, I said this was back in 2011, and we're in 2026 now, 15 years later, and the same doctors that treated me while I was in the hospital bed, I usually see them when I go up, and it's always nice to see them because, as a 11-year-old kid, I tried to, what's the best way to describe it? Entertain myself, but entertain's really not the best word either, but distract myself from what was going on.
Yeah.
So, as an example, I mentioned the surgeries I would have to have. I mean, I was having maybe 2 or 3 surgeries a week, and that was either they were going in, taking a sample of my tumor to see how it was reacting to the chemo I was taking, giving me spinals, which is where they actually inject chemo into your spinal cord. I mean, all kinds of surgeries. And so, I got put to sleep a lot during that. And, 11-year-old kid, his first time taking anesthesia. And so all of it was new to me. I thought it was cool, right?
Yeah.
And so I can always remember like laying on the bed right before getting ready to fall asleep. And my thing with the doctors was I would always like say something funny right before I was getting ready to pass out. Pass out. Yeah, I almost said pass away. But no, just get knocked out. And I'm a big geek, so like Star Wars, things like that's my favorite. So right before I would get ready to go to sleep, I would tell him, "May the Force be with you," or Captain America, ask if it was too late to go to the bathroom, or something funny like that to try to make light of the moment. Because again, 11-year-old kid, first time being in a surgery room, first time taking anesthesia. I just mentioned I didn't even realize I had cancer until some months after I was already staying at the hospital. So I was just trying to find ways to keep me in good spirits, keep my mom in good spirits. And that's just always the personality really that I've had, is just always uplifting, charismatic, energetic. And I'm glad I've carried that with me after that journey, because cancer, I mean, what I went through with that, I mean, it could have easily, made me just view the world as doom and gloom. I could never do anything that I had dreams to aspire to do. I didn't let that drag me down. Right after that, I basically missed my whole 6th grade year of school. I don't think I went back until like late April or May, like right when school was getting ready to let out. And so that very next year, 7th grade, I'd been in remission with cancer at that point, because the type that I had, if it didn't come back within a year, then it most likely won't come back. So I can remember right as soon as I took my last chemotherapy and rung the bell, I was cancer free, got sent home. A week later, started turning jaundice again. My skin started changing. So immediately, both me and my mom are like, my cancers came back this quick. Let's go to the doctor. Go back up to UK. They run tests, whatever. Thankfully, find out my cancer has not came back. But what they did realize is the amount of chemotherapy that I received, it completely destroyed my bile duct leading out of my liver. Wow. And for the viewers that don't know what your bile duct is, it's a little tube that connects from your liver out into the rest of your intestines. That kind of is what helps you use the bathroom. Mine was completely blocked, so I couldn't use the bathroom. It was all just getting piled up in there, right? Yeah. And that's what was turning my skin a different color. And so once they found that out, UK, they were a little hesitant to treat me because they're really known for their cancer treatment, especially in young kids, but liver is a whole other beast. And so at first they weren't really sure the route to take with me. So in the meantime, they gave me a little drainage bag that was literally just a tube hanging outside of my side with a bag at the end of it, and all of my bile was draining into that bag. Obviously not something pleasant to have when you're 12 or 13 years old. And, like I said, around this time I'm starting 7th grade. And so, I'm starting 7th grade, middle school for the first time because barely got to experience 6th grade. Starting at a new school, meeting new kids, because, I mentioned I went to London Elementary, and with those kids there, some of them get split. Some of them go to North, and the others go to South. Lucky for me, all of my friends got sent to North, and I was the only one that got sent to South. So, I was having to make all new friends, too, as soon as I got back. And, that was a very challenging time for me because, I just, for a year, been in a hospital bed with the only interaction I had was my mom or the doctors that came or friends and family that would come and visit. But other than that, I was completely isolated mostly for a whole year. So trying to make new friends while battling liver issues was really challenging. I can remember, walking through the halls and just being real cautious because, like I said, it was just a tube hanging out of my side. So if somebody bumped into me, that tube literally could have been pulled out of me, and that would have been a whole mess.
So no sports I'm taking, and you need a chance to play sports while doing that, of course. But
I will say, I mentioned I didn't let all of that drag me down, right? I grew up a huge basketball fan. My family, the Carsons, one of my cousins, Marcus Carson, that name may be familiar to some. He went off to play baseball at UK for 4 years, but before that, he was a standout multi-athlete star at North Laurel. So sports has always been in my family. I've always grown up very competitive. So I did have that bag hanging out of my side for only a few weeks, maybe a month tops. Before my mom, I mentioned she's a very strong woman. She doesn't want to see her boy go through any kind of pain or illness that he doesn't need to, right? So obviously the bag situation was not working out. Things weren't getting better. It was kind of just a Band-Aid to, hope things get better. And so my mom did some research, found out that Cincinnati is wonderful when it comes to liver issues, liver illnesses, but especially kids hospital. They have a very great children's hospital up there as well. So I got sent up to Cincinnati, went back and forth from there for about a year or two. And what was going on up there was they were putting stents in my bile duct to keep it open by itself. But that was a drawn out process. I had to go every so months to get a new stent put in just to keep it open and to develop scar tissue so that it would stay open without a stent. And so I did that for about a year, and thankfully, the Lord blessed me that He got that bag out of my side right around the time that basketball tryouts started. To be honest, I didn't really know if I would make the team or not. I played for London the fifth grade when they started fifth grade ball back, because I think before a couple of years earlier they had discontinued that, and then like the year like when I was in fourth grade they started it back up again, and so I did play for London fifth grade. Was playing the tryout for South sixth grade, obviously. You know, God and the world had different plans. So seventh grade, you know, I knew I was going to try out, but didn't know if I was going to make it or not. I just wanted to see how I would do, right? Like I said, I've grown up competitive. I love basketball more than anything. So I just wanted to go try it and see. And that's one of my most cherished memories that I have during that time, because, you know, I just went through a whole year of cancer, battling liver issues, you know, everything hadn't worked out, touched the basketball in a year, you know, the odds were stacked against me. And I can remember the very first day of tryouts. Tryouts was basically just open gym. If you wanted to try out, just come play with the other kids your age. And then, you know, at the end of the week, we'll see, you know, who's the top dog left. And this was 2012, 2013. So this was just a year after Anthony Davis was at UK and we won the national championship. Go UK. And so I can remember, you know, obviously that was my favorite player along with the rest of the state of Kentucky around that time. And I can remember when we were playing our pickup games, I was just blocking shots left and right, man. Left and right. Anytime somebody drove the ball down the lane, I was swatting it over on the sidelines. Because around this time, I was still pretty much taller than the rest of the kids. Elementary school, I was always like a foot taller than all the other kids. But by the time I got to middle school, my chemo had stunted my growth. So the height that I am right now, it's the height that I've always been since I was 11 years old going through cancer. So, you know, I was a pretty big 12-year-old around that time. And I can remember all of the kids after the first day, every single one of them came into the locker room and they were like, "Where have you been? You're like Anthony Davis out there swatting all these shots every time we try throwing something up." And, you know, I stayed humble because it's first time playing pickup in a year, first time, you know, trying out, you know, elementary school. You know, not a whole lot of kids tried out for the ball team. So if you did try out, you pretty much made the team. So middle school, I was a little nervous because, I mean, you're getting kids from all of the elementary schools that played ball. You know, we've got a lot of great athletes here in London and Laurel County. So I just wasn't sure.
There's a bunch of athletes that come out of Laurel County. People don't realize how many, just even the Tri-County area that come out of it. But, you know, in all of this, there's a huge lot with all this, and it's to me that your perseverance, right? Your drive to not give up. You could have went into that what we call valley of despair, right? You could have been like, okay, woe is me type thing. But coming right out of chemotherapy, out of treatment, going into the seventh grade, going straight for trying for the ball team. That's kind of, from what I've seen, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of how you've led your whole life.
Oh, absolutely.
Like if there's an obstacle in your way, you're not one of those people that try to find a way around it. You don't care to go, not really so much through it, but you find a way to work with it and adapt and then persevere.
Absolutely. And
that's what I've picked up.
I mean, you said it. I mean, that's pretty much the story of my life. And I mean, and thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that. And that's what I tell everybody that asks me about my story. And they're like, well, you know, how do you feel now about it? Like, do you have any regrets or anything like that? And I'm like, you know, I don't really know how I could regret going through something like that, you know, but like you said, I don't let it drag me down. If anything, it helped me view the world differently. It helped me coming out of that journey. It really gave me an appreciation for life, showed me that, you know, life is too short. A lot of unknowns happen every single day to not live your life to the fullest, right? And you said it, like if there's a challenge or if there's something that I want to do, by oh God, I'm going to go out and do it, because if there's nothing stopping me, then why not,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I think a lot of people, they have these dreams and they have these ideas that are great dreams and ideas, but they just don't know how to take the first step, or they're too scared. All of these variables. What if I do this and it doesn't work out, or I don't know where to start, or whatever. And I just tell people, dive into it head first, because until you do that, I mean, if I would rather start something, whether it be successful or fail, than rather not do it at all, right?
Have that doubt of if what would have happened if I did this, instead of having what ifs. And it's a weird saying that I've said quite a bit. I'm not saying on this podcast, but I say it to my team and stuff all the time, that the best experience is experience.
Oh yes.
You know what I mean? Like that. When someone can apply that, to take something on head first, go after it. We say a saying, as I've said it on this podcast several times, to do it ugly. You have to, regardless if you think you know what you're doing, or even if you don't know what you're doing. If you have an idea, if you have a plan, if you have a goal, just go for it.
Absolutely.
Like, just go for it. So if you mess up, then you're going to learn from that you messed up, and then how to fix that later, right?
That's what I was about to say. I mean, failure doesn't really scare me, because I don't really, like, yes, I do believe that you can fail at some things, but I think some people view failure as you failed at one thing, so you can never do it again, right?
Oh, yeah.
But for me, failure, like, I just view it as an opportunity to learn and grow, right? It's the exact same way I view the past. The past is there not for us to, dwell on and regret. It's there to show us what we did right or what we did wrong, and learn from it and grow, so we can be better people moving forward into the future, because that's the only way we get better, is learning from our previous mistakes or successes and building on top of that. I say all the time, sky's the limit, right? I mean, whatever you want to do, if you put your head down, like you said, if you just put your head down and get to it, you can achieve whatever you set your mind to. And I believe that's the way most things should be. And that's how I viewed, going back to the basketball tryouts, that's how I viewed that. If I didn't make the team, so what? At least I gave it my all.
Yeah.
Always next year to go back and try out. Long story short with that, by the way, I did make the 7th grade team.
Yep.
And I made the ball team from that point on all the way until I graduated high school. And it's just having that mindset. That's what I don't, contribute making the ball team because of my basketball skills or my height, genetics, anything like that. I contribute it to my work ethic. I loved basketball. I wanted to be on the ball team more than anything. So every single tryout, every single practice, I was given 110%, because I knew that I had a whole lot farther to catch up to the other kids who didn't just go through a year with life or death illness and stayed in a hospital bed for 6 months straight without, moving a muscle or touching a ball. All those other kids had an advantage on me. So I knew I couldn't have that, feel sorry for me type of mentality. If I wanted to be on the ball team, I was going to have to work for it, and I did.
Yeah. And I'll tell you that mindset's contagious to yourself. Like, and I say that from both aspects of it, right? So if you have that woe is me mentality, and you keep saying woe is me mentality, you're going to live a life of woe is me mentality.
Absolutely.
If you take something on full charge, if you do it ugly, who cares if you do it wrong? Like, and it can be unnerving, it can be uncomfortable. And I tell my people all the time, have the uncomfortable conversations, have the uncomfortable movements to go forward to try something. If you fail at it, then you're going to know how not to do it again the second time you go back to try to do it. And that's how you not so much create perfection, but you get better at what you're doing until you refine what it is that you're doing. Let's talk about that, though, real quick, because I want to talk about not only the cancer and what you've overcome with it, but things that you're doing now. Like, I know that we're going to kind of skip forward several years, of course, here with this, but it's London Tourism Commission.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
name off a few of the things that you're currently doing or have done. It's
Yes,
a lot, I know. Yeah, I've learned this just from knowing you what little time I've known you. Like, you wear a lot of hats, man.
I wear a lot of hats, but like I said, like if I see something or I have an idea, I want to go do it, because if not me, who, right? So We mentioned the London tourism. I mentioned I'm running for city council here in London this election cycle. Last year, I believe October, we launched a new delivery service business, Hometown Go. For those that don't know what Hometown Go is, it's a local delivery service here in London, Kentucky, that was formed to help the local businesses here, right? The best way to view it is like DoorDash, but instead of punishing local businesses for using our service, we help them. We want to help get their product or service, whatever it is, out to the community so the whole community can enjoy the local wonderful businesses that we have here in London and Laurel County. So we launched that in October of 2025, and talk about trial and error, what we just got off. That has been Hometown Go. It's the first endeavor that I've dipped my hands in. I've started nonprofit organizations in the past, and I'll get into that in a little bit later. But this is the first for-profit entity that I've ever created, ever operated. So this has been a learning curve for me, right? Because I'm used to the nonprofit side of the world, where it's, where can we find funding for projects? How can we help the community? Who are the most vulnerable people that need help right now? To the other flip side of that, for-profit, how can we help this business make money, but also offer a value to the community that we want to serve, right? So trying to navigate Hometown Go and all the kinks with a for-profit business has been challenging, but like I said, we have came across some challenges and failures with Hometown Go, but obviously Hometown Go is still up and running. We're still around, and we're learning as we go. We're not just going to shut down the business and say, well, we did it for a few months, enjoyed it, we learned our lesson, now just scrap it away. We want Hometown Go to grow to be something that benefits the whole community, benefits all of the local businesses here, even your business, London Neighbors here, that we do partner with already.
You guys help my business out a lot every month.
See, so I mean, it's about building those partnerships with the local businesses here, because we all want the same thing, which is the best for London and to serve and help the people here that call London home, right? So that's long story short, with Hometown Go, that's our main mission. Yes, we're a food delivery service, but we the vision we have for that business is much larger than what it currently is right now. We just ask for patience, because right now it's myself, my wife, Jared Baker. For those who don't know Jared Baker, if you're familiar with the business from a few years ago, CJ on the Way, Jared Baker was the one who created and operated that business. And when he had to go off to school at University of Tennessee, we brought him on to our Hometown Go team to basically just rebrand what he was doing and offer more services, a better platform. And he's been instrumental in the work and helping us get Hometown Go where it is today. So very thankful for Jared. And we've got Maxwell Sosmer on the team too. He's been wonderful, a wonderful addition to the team. And so many other people that aren't on the Hometown Go team, but help us with whatever we need, whether it be, website services, getting us connected to other folks around the community, whatever it is. When they say it takes a village,
it does.
It absolutely does.
It does. It's especially with business. And that's something that with Hometown Go that I feel specifically is community driven. It's community based.
It is.
Through all of this, there's a crystal clear picture. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm okay with being wrong. It's fine. But there is a community driven aspect to almost everything that you're doing.
Absolutely.
Everything.
Absolutely.
It's you didn't have to take the opportunity to meet me at the gym or talk to me. Being a part of the tourism makes you part of the community. You're super invested with that because of all the things that tourism is doing, and what a great job they're doing, right? Like it's incredible. Hometown Goes the same way. I was asking with we were mentioning that the delivery service, how you help me out. I can't get to everybody every month. I would love to. I try my best to. When I can't, you guys are always right there to pick up that pace for me
Yes,
and
sir.
to make sure that people get their publications each month, our businesses that help support this. And I love the fact that you are the face of it. Like, it's because we have this same goal in mind of how can we help and strengthen the community, which has kind of now led us into, and we'll talk briefly about this too. You're now running for council for next year, right?
am.
I mean, it's gee, what else can you do? Like, it's no.
Well, let me tell you,
no, I'm just kidding.
my wife gives me a hard time, and she tells me all the time I need about 5 of me to do what I do, because I mean it's just always, there's always something going on. I wish that there was a time where I could just sit at home and not have anything to do,
Sure,
but
yeah.
that's just not how, I'm built. Like, if I'm sitting at home doing nothing, that kills me, because that, to me, I'm thinking internally, what can I be doing right now to help improve myself, to, educate myself, whether it be read books or anything to help it increase my knowledge on things, or projects, initiatives around the community. If I see that there's a need for something here, and nobody else around either has identified it yet or really wants to take the move to help address that need, then you can guarantee I will be the person to put my hat in, because I just, like I said, that's how I'm wired. And with my philosophy, like I said, coming out of cancer, like, if I don't do it, somebody else doesn't do it, who will? And I always say, be the change you want to see, right? Whether it be in your community, whether it be in your country, whatever it is, you just got to start somewhere, right? Because not starting at all, you're not going to get anything done.
You don't know how contagious that is too. Like when you do something like that and somebody else sees it, regardless if you're doing it for somebody else to see it or not, when somebody else is taking notice, right? Somebody else is, and there's times that you may think that nobody's watching or nobody's seeing the efforts that I'm putting forward. Somebody's watching, somebody's paying attention, and then that person is going to go try to do the same thing.
Absolutely.
And then, but if enough of that is done, then that's where change comes in, right? That's where progress happens. That's where growth happens. So I commend you, man. Like, it's the more that I've learned too. It was something off the side of that. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, and I wanted to address this because I wanted to make sure maybe I'm thinking wrong. Did you had let my writer Emily, she is fantastic writer.
Absolutely.
You had let her know prior to you proposing to your wife that it was going to happen.
Yes.
Am I correct? Because
Yes,
I remember she called me. She goes, "I've got some inside information." And I'm like, "I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't." And she goes, "Oh, you're going to hear this." I'm like, "Okay, what is it?" She goes, "Chase is going to propose to his fiance." I'm like, "No way." Or to his girlfriend. I'm like, "No way." And then I think it was not long after that you had. So I like the fact that we knew that prior, and I didn't want to say nothing, and I didn't. I didn't say a word, and Emily didn't say a word. It was hard to keep secret, though. It really was, because to me, that's big news, man. It's congratulations to you for sure. It's definitely something that's, you have a good support system with that. Not only that, but you talked about your mom quite a bit, and I've sat and talked with her. She is a huge advocate for you, and I can tell from the way that you're talking and the way that she has talked that I've sat and talked with her. She is your biggest fan, by all means. I think it was yesterday or day before, it may have been this morning actually. She was trying to find out who she can give your T-shirts to.
Yes.
For council. So
I do want to say, back to City Council, I do have Chase Carson for City Council shirts here that I've brought for you and your daughter.
Awesome. Oh, thanks.
So
She's gonna
I
enjoy that
appreciate
bunch.
you all. Absolutely.
Yeah, she's going to enjoy that a bunch.
Absolutely.
For
So
sure,
yes,
man.
my mom, and let me tell you, I've got a funny story about her. Actually, talk about biggest fan. So yes, if you are friends with my mom on Facebook, I mean, she is constantly posting my shirts, signs, whatever it is out there, asking who wants them. She will bring them to you. So this past weekend, my wife and I were out around the community, campaigning, knocking on doors, putting up signs. And me and my wife had, planned to do it all ourselves that day, knock out as many as we could and go home and rest. And my mom, my poor old mom, she said, we do have door hangers, and that's what we've been leaving behind at folks' house. And She said, give me all the door hangers that you want to give me all the shirts, signs, whatever, and I'll go around the neighborhoods where I live and pass them out to folks that want them. So I was like, yeah, I really appreciate that, Mom. I'll give you a few. Don't kill yourself. Just the people that are surrounding you. Stop by, see them, let them know about us, what have you. Went that whole day. We went our separate ways. Me and my wife around the community. Like I said, my mom on the other side of town. By the time me and my wife got done, I texted my mom just to see, status update, see how she's doing, see who all she talked to. And I didn't hear from her for like an hour or so. And I was like, oh Lord, she's done went to the wrong house. We're gonna have to go search for her and find her. Yeah. And she finally texted me back and told me she had walked 6 miles that day. Jeez. Walked up all kinds of hills, what have you. And I think this was on either Saturday or Sunday, so it was a pretty hot day that day. And she did not dress appropriately. She had too many clothes on. Yep. Talked about she about had a heat stroke, and I'm not going to mention my mom's age, but I was like, Mom, I told you not to kill yourself. Me and Alyssa can handle it. If you want to go around with us, that's fine. You don't have to go out and kill yourself. But that's the type of mom I have, man, and I'm super grateful for her. And she has stayed that way my whole life. When I was coming up as a kid, anything that I was involved in, she was right there. When I was going through my cancer, my mom, she's a hairdresser, cosmetologist. So, if she's not at work, she's not making money. And man, my mom, like I said, I don't remember much when I first got to the hospital, but by the time I did regain consciousness, I don't think there was ever a time my mom left my bedside the entire time. When I got done with that journey and when I was trying out for 7th grade ball team, she wasn't letting me keep that doom and gloom, vibe. She was constantly encouraging me and what have you. And another memory I have about that is, I grew up a big Rocky fan. The Rocky movies, love it. I even boxed for a little while at Loughran's boxing gym. Shout out Jerry Loughran. For a few years after I graduated high school, and just loved it because that's basically what Rocky's story is, man. It's come from nothing, put your head down, grind to achieve the dreams that you want, and if you put in enough hard work, eventually, hopefully, you can end up top dog champion of the world, right? And so I remember the last day of tryouts, I got in my mom's car and told her the news that I made the team, and she was like, I'm so happy, and I knew you were going to make the team because as soon as I dropped you off for tryouts, Eye of the Tiger started playing.
That's funny, man.
And she just knew that I was going to make the team, and so, that's just my mom, man. She's always been my biggest supporter.
Have
my
a strong family roots, strong community roots. Like there's a pattern there, right?
And strong women too, man. Having strong women in my life, raised mostly by a single mother. She's helped me kind of view the world in a different, perspective as well, and obviously adding my wife now into that, another strong, independent woman. It's I couldn't have a better, like you alluded to, a support group, but not even just them. I want to mention the whole community too, because when I was going through my cancer journey, when I did get to come back home for a little bit and would go out to the churches, talk to folks, thank them for their prayers and all of that, I can't tell you, even to this day, man, I still have people that never met in my life, couldn't tell you what their name is until I get done talking to them and learn that either 15 years ago, they bought the little rubber bracelets that I says, support Chase for cancer, prayed for me during church, even continue to pray to me to this day. That's I think really what gets me out of bed every single day, and what started my passion for community service is I saw how my community showed up for me when I was going through something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, man, every single day I'm finding ways for me to serve my community as well. Because I want to give back to the folks that helped me during my lowest moment in my life,
We
right?
have that type of community too, is the
Oh,
thing. And like if
absolutely.
people can open their eyes to what this community does, what this community when they come together, what they accomplish, what they achieve, who they support, how they support, the things that we move forward with when we all come together, this community. And listen, I've been here 21 years, right? I'm from Perry County, from Hazard, another strong community by all means. They've come
Absolutely.
through a whole lot. Um, but I've seen other communities. I've seen other places, lived other places, been here 21 years, and this community is the strongest when it comes together.
Well, I mean,
So,
you saw it during last year when the tornado
oh
struck,
man,
Sunshine Hills and the airport and the other areas. I mean, I can remember, without getting too much into detail, I can remember, you know, learning that a tornado did strike Laura County. I was trying to follow it all through the night when it was going through, but there wasn't a whole lot of information obviously out yet
hmm
about it. By that Saturday morning, I got on Facebook to see, where the tornado had struck, see who needed help. And I can remember that Saturday morning, I called up one of my buddies who was headed out to Sunshine Hills. He came and picked me up, and literally that morning, Saturday morning, we went out Sunshine Hills, walked around trying to just find people who see what they needed, give folks
hmm
water, give them food, talk. Just even the simplest thing is giving folks hugs too.
hmm
Because let me tell you, we came across a guy who just staring at him. You can tell he was in complete shock.
Oh yeah.
Probably still didn't know where he
hmm
was at. Said he had just got back from the hospital and he was out looking for his dog.
hmm
And if you went to Sunshine Hills right after that aftermath, I
hmm
mean, trying to search for a dog or anything
Anything, yeah.
during that aftermath, man, it was very disheartening. And just walking up to that man and giving him a hug, asking him, other than your dog, is there anything we can get for
hmm
you? Water, food, what can we do for you to help you feel better? And even just that, we saw him a couple of days after that, and he thanked us, gave us another hug, and told us
hmm
how much he appreciated that because he was all by himself,
Yeah. Just
just
lost
him and his
everything.
dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and his dog, and he couldn't find his dog. And just having somebody there to support him, show him love, hug on him,
hmm
that helped him. And he did eventually find his dog, thankfully. But,
It
having
seems
that
like
love and support, that helped him.
maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think in our pet section of the London Neighbors, I think it was that dog that we put in our pet section because
Oh, really?
because I remember the story being that they had lost the dog. The guy could not find the dog, and it was a day or so later they found the dog.
Well, it was
Maybe later than
that
that.
probably
Maybe.
is what it was because
Yeah.
I think the National Guard was the
They
one who
found
found
him.
it. Yep,
Yes, that
yep.
was the one that was
So
in.
that's awesome.
That's funny,
Yes,
ain't it?
yes.
Yeah. That's
Can't remember his name right now, but I mean, my buddy that I was with, he told me that I think he plays like Magic the Gathering with him, the card game.
card game. Yeah.
So I mean, this is a dude that a lot of people respect, know, and love
hmm
because he's a member of the card playing game community here in London. So, I think on the same topic about his dog being in the magazine, I think whatever one of these games and comics stores he plays at. I'm pretty sure they also had a fundraiser for him
Mm.
a little after that too. So when you talk about community, our community
hmm
especially coming together, I mean that right there is just a perfect example of it.
Yeah.
I mentioned my story, his story, but I mean there are countless other stories. I mean you share all kinds of wonderful
Man,
stories each month in your magazine,
you
and
wouldn't believe. I
that's just the
mean,
place where you come from, man.
you wouldn't believe the stories, for the last 26, 28 months of doing this. The amount of stories that come out of here of just absolutely superhuman, incredible people.
Yes,
This
yes.
community is one of a kind,
Mhm.
and I will stand by that to the day that I die. Like there is nothing stronger than this community when they come
Mm.
together. The stories that come out of this together
Amen.
is absolutely insane. And it all starts with leadership. It all starts with someone taking the notion to do something first or to even redo something that somebody else has done
Mhm.
over and over again until it becomes repetitive, until it becomes contagious to the point that we all do the right thing
Absolutely.
you know, in order to help each other out. And that's what I find out with all these stories that we write. You know, that, you know, Emily does a fantastic, I can't thank her enough. She writes so good, with these family stories and things. But not only that, you know, we will take and we'll ask the public to write something. And she may or may not want me to say too much, but I'm going to say a few things. In regards to that, is that we actually have a writer who writes into the magazine each month, who went through some pretty rough times, some pretty hard times in her life, and the way that she's been able to heal. And this was her coming to me and telling me that one of the ways that she helped herself heal through this trauma she went through was being able to write in our magazine. But it's being able to come together as a community, have resources as a community, and do it together. You know, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally off here. But you know, you running for council to me is a big thing. It's a huge thing. I think that having a strong family background, having a strong community background, having, you know, the vision, the need, the want, the drive to make things better and to see it through is exactly what we need.
And
so, again, it's my biased opinion.
Well,
so, you know, people
and I
scorn me if you
appreciate-
want to, but it's my biased opinion.
and
you
I
know?
appreciate
Yeah.
that, but I mean, you said it perfectly, John. And when people ask me about my vision and what I want to bring to City Council, I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, look at the past 2 years that our community has went through. That is not what our community looks like.
No, it's
The
not.
division, the hate, talking about each other all the time. That's not London and Laurel County. That's never who we've been.
Mm-mm.
And so my vision with London is to eradicate all of that. Let's start coming together again, working together for the betterment of our community, for its people, and move forward. Because there's everything that's been going on for the past 2 years has just been, there's no reason for it at all. And
It's not who we are.
it's not. And we've heard the community, you know, mention multiple times, you know, we want to get back to working for the city, for its people, on the things that matter, that can help our daily lives, right? Because so far, I mean, just arguing constantly helps nobody, right? And it just further stitches division within our community, and that's not what we need. We've always been London and Laurel County, and that's my vision for my city council campaign, is to bring that back. Let's bring back compromises at the table. Let's bring back working together, because it's naive to believe that everybody's going to agree on everything all the time.
Right.
Right? And so going back to leadership, a good leader recognizes that, and instead of only ever trying to get their way, they find ways to work with other people, listen, and work. Because a part of leadership, yes, it's being able to lead, but the biggest part is listening. Because if you're not listening to the people that you're supposed to be leading. And if you're not listening to the people you're supposed to be leading, then who are you truly leading? Right?
Exactly.
So
and that's a good point, because even with like leadership things that we do and that I do here with not just the magazine, but as with Best Virgin Media as a whole, they're a huge leadership corporation. They're massive. I mean, one of the CEOs, he's an ex-NFL linebacker for the New England Patriots.
nice.
I mean, if there's anybody who knows leadership, who knows teamwork, it's this individual, right? And I kind of base my stuff off of that. You know, the books that I read is all leadership. My little library I've got at home, it's all leadership books, right? But the biggest part of what all of them talk about is you need to listen. Talking about something is one thing. That's part of it. But you need to be able to listen. You need to be able to sit, talk through things. You're not always going to get your way.
Right.
That's not, to me, that's not growth. That's trying to be in control of something. And that's another big part of leadership, is being able to let go of the things you can't control. You know, don't try to control the uncontrollable, you know, and I think that's the direction that we've been headed, is there's so much out of control that it is become chaos. And that's not who we are. Like, again, I've been here 21 years, and I've known a lot of big name business owners. I've known a lot of good community members that they made change because they sat, they listened, and then they acted on what they heard.
Absolutely.
Not what their feelings told them, not what they wanted to do, but what they had listened to the community to do and push forward to make it happen.
Absolutely. That's
And it
the qualities
involved
of
the
any
community to do it, right? So your head's in the right spot, man.
Well, thank
It's
you.
going from cancer to making a ball team at 7th grade. I mean, just starting with that journey from making that choice, right, to not being the woe is me mentality, to now soon to be city council person. You know what I mean? Like
Let's hope.
from tourism to, you know what I mean? Yeah, from all that. So the journey is to never give up. The journey is to
And
to
staying
come together.
humble too, because
Humble is a big
like I
part,
said,
man.
like first of all, I truly believe that through my cancer journey, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the love, support, and prayers that I received during that. I wouldn't be here right now where I am today without the whole community, because we've mentioned my wife and my mom, but man, there's tons of other players that are in that support group that have helped invest in me and get me to where I am today, you included. I mean, it's what I said earlier, it takes a village, and that's the reason why I'm running for city council. This isn't my first campaign. I ran this is my third campaign now. My first run, I think, was back in 2020 when Troy Rudder was still mayor. And I ran back then because same thing as today. There was a lot of, I felt like, arguing and back and forth, not a whole lot of city business being done and conducted. So I just wanted to throw my hat in the ring because I was confident in myself that I could bring a different perspective to city council. I may not have all the answers, but I can learn as I go. And if I come across a challenge and fail, learn from it and grow like we mentioned earlier. But second time, again, I received a whole lot more support than my first election, but still didn't get in. And this time, I mean, I'm super grateful and blessed for the community. I think I have the most support now out of all of my campaigns, and I can't be any more grateful. But staying humble is the most important thing, because when I do go to the polls, when we see on election day, May 19th, who the people have chosen to represent them, it's going to be the people that they believe in, that they see out in the community.
It'd be the people that
they
has
can trust
listened.
and can listen. And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I believe just staying humble, knowing that you don't have the answers to everything, and knowing that, and knowing, like you said, kind of not trying to control the outcome of everything and be a tyrant. If you don't know the answer to something, admit it and go try to find it and learn it for whoever's asking, right? Because quality as a leader is you've never made it, right? If that makes sense. If you're a leader, you're never going to reach that end of the tunnel. You're always going to be learning and growing, because that's the qualities of any great leader. You're always going to come across new challenges and issues or different perspectives, and learning how to work with those different perspectives and listening are the qualities of any great leader.
It is, and it's something that's it's hard to do. Like me personally, I've had to learn to do these things, right? So I don't say it much, but I'm considered, or I guess my title with BVM when it comes to it. Not only am I the publisher of the local magazine here that we do the magazine for, but I'm market leader. Nice. I'm market leader of Lexington, Southeast Kentucky. There's 8 individuals that I'm constantly talking with and trying to lead them to be better people, right? To bring their communities together. And I base it off of how I do everything here. From the tornado, from being able to do things with it, from meeting other people that's in leadership, and leadership has so many different faces, right? It isn't about being on a board member or even owning a business. It's what are you doing to help move progress forward? It's as simple as that to become a leader. It really is.
And I think that's a perfect example, because like you said, part of my leadership style is trying to inspire others too. I mentioned if I see a need in the community, I'm a absolutely get my hands involved in it, but I'm also finding other people who have that same passion and desire to help their community as well, right?
You got to surround yourself with like people.
Absolutely, because
like minds.
London doesn't need a savior, right? One person can't save our community from what it's been through.
No.
It's going to take all of us, a village, all of us coming together, working together, loving one another like we have. I mean, since London and Laura County was formed back in the 1800s, man. I mean,
200 years ago.
That's how we got
here
today.
Bicentennials this year. So
200-year anniversary, yes, absolutely. And that's how we got here today. 200 years later was learning how to work together. Because, I mean, do you think the people that were helping form this community 200 years ago, do you think they all agreed? Of course not.
No.
But they knew how to work together to create the town, the city, what we know as one of the biggest micropolitans in Kentucky now in the future. And it was because it was bigger than just any one person. They were doing it for their community. And that's the approach that I'm taking with city council, hometown go, whatever it is. The community is always the first in my mind.
I think a lot of that, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that started when you were young and you went through all this with your cancer, and then you've seen the community support.
Absolutely.
It's funny how it can start back then, how you can actually see that, hey, this community has something special, you know? And then as you progressed, got older, and you started doing things with, you just kind of tied that into everything. And listen, man, again, I commend you. I know it's not been an easy road by no means. I know that it's, you know, leadership never is, you know? Trying to not, you know, force a path but lead a path is two different things. You know what I mean?
And I want to congratulate you as well on all the wonderful, I mean, from when you started this to now. I mean,
so much
imagine
change.
if instead of me sitting here,
So
if it
much
was you
change.
back then sitting there and you all having conversation and where you are today, would you be able to believe it? Right?
No.
And that speaks testament to the work that you put in, the passion and desire that you have to help our community. And I mean, when your morals and your goals and your vision is right, everything else is just going to fall in place for you, I believe. Because, I mean, look at that. You've always kept your community first. And look, I mean, you've got all kinds of magazines hanging up of community members that we have right here on your walls, talking to you outside of this. I hear you all the time meeting with folks, even folks outside of this community, telling them about us.
All the time.
So, man, I
All
really...
the time.
I really appreciate the work that you do too. Just, you know, getting our community members' stories out there. Because like you said, yes, we've got a lot of athletes here in Laurel County, but man, we've got some people here in Laurel County with stories that make national news, blow people away.
I have a magazine right over there. It's not even ours, but it was given to me by a local business owner of a man who was actually on the front cover of Sports Illustrated back in the 70s.
Wow.
And he lives right here in Laurel County, from Laurel County.
See?
And I'm trying to get up with him. I like to have him on our front cover feature because the guy still carries around that 70s copy of the Sports Illustrated with him on the front cover.
Wow.
Come from right here in Laurel County. It's
That's
small.
amazing.
It's different stories like that that makes this community so good, so great. And I'm thankful to be able to show that, tell that, and however else that we can help for sure. But we're going to have to do a part 2 on this for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm
maybe
looking forward
after
to
the
it.
May, you know, it was the primaries in May. Is that what it is?
Primaries in May, yes, sir.
Maybe we'll do a second one after that. We'll kind of we'll see how things go
I'll
from
be
there.
right here.
Right?
You just let me know. Yes, sir.
I look forward to it, man. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.